A very, very beautiful Wednesday morning to you, and a warm welcome to the press, which you know live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Olamide Alhassan, and today is the 6th day of June 2025. And I hope you're all ready for everything that we have in store for you today. And like you already know on the press, we give you updates, first of all, on the weather forecast. And afterwards, we take you on to what happened and maybe to the front page of the national dailies. And then we get in a guest who's going to analyze most of the top stories that made it to the front page. And that's also the segment where you get involved, where you get to call in and let your voice be heard. So right about now, let's begin with the weather forecast, just so you know how best to get your day started. And with the weather forecast this morning, you know that I love to start from the core north. We're going to start from Kano State. In Kano State this morning, it says that on the average about 23 degrees Celsius, and the highest is at 31 degrees Celsius, and the lowest is at 22 degrees Celsius. And it says it's mostly cloudy, because it's partly cloudy, and cloudy conditions are expected around 11 a.m. as wind gusts are up to 17 km per hour in Kano State. And from Kano State, we have to move on to Kaduna State. In Kaduna State, it says on the average about 21 degrees Celsius. It's mostly cloudy. The highest is at 27 degrees Celsius, and the lowest is at 21 degrees Celsius. And rainy conditions are expected around 8 a.m. this morning as wind gusts are up to 17 km per hour. That means it's currently already raining in Kaduna. And from Kaduna now, let's head on to Imo State, the southeastern part of Nigeria. Imo State said on the average about 23 degrees Celsius. You can see it's extremely cloudy, and it's the highest is at 28 degrees Celsius, and the lowest is at 22 degrees Celsius. And rainy conditions are expected around 1 p.m. as wind gusts are up to 14 km per hour in Imo State. And now to South, Port Harcourt. Port Harcourt says on the average it's about 23 degrees Celsius, and it's cloudy as well. The highest is at 28 degrees Celsius, and the lowest is at 22 degrees Celsius. And rainy conditions are expected all day as wind gusts are up to 17 km per hour in Port Harcourt. And from Port Harcourt now, we head on to the commercial nerve center of Nigeria, Lagos State. They say Kodi Baje. In Lagos State is about 24 degrees Celsius on the average. The highest is at 28 degrees Celsius, and the lowest is at 23 degrees Celsius. And rainy conditions are expected around 10 a.m. as wind gusts are up to 15 km per hour in Lagos State. And from Lagos State, now we come back to the Federal Capital Territory, where you're currently watching us from, Abuja. In Abuja, it says it's currently raining, and the highest is at 26 degrees Celsius, the lowest is at 21 degrees Celsius, same as the average at 21 degrees Celsius. And it says cloudy conditions are expected around 11 a.m. as wind gusts are up to 16 km per hour. Well, that's it for the weather forecast. Do well to take necessary precautions. As it is today, it's raining everywhere, so you probably want to take very good care of yourself by, first of all, deciding what you want to wear out today, since it's going to be a rainy day, and deciding as well how you want to get your day started. Probably you want to grab a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, whatever works for you, just so you know how best to get your day started. That's the basis for giving you the updates on the weather forecast, especially for very business conscious people. You want to know how best to plan your movement, your business, and everything related to you for today. Well, that's it for the weather forecast, and now let's head on to what made it to the front page of our national dailies. Andrew Betts, I'm starting with the Punch newspaper to pick some punchy headlines. And on the Punch newspaper, it says nationwide alerts. FG wants a 5-day flooding in 19 states. I'll take that again. Nationwide alerts. That's what we heard about rain almost in all of the states that we read out to you across the 6 geopolitical zones. And now nationwide alerts is saying federal government wants a 5-day flooding in 19 states. Rainfall, flooding forecast for Tuesday to Saturday. Floods hit Ogun, Gombe. 2025 flooding kills 191, I beg your pardon, and 94 still missing. May the gentle souls of the departed rest in eternal peace. Amen. Well, that's available for your read on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. And now to other stories on the front page. Presidential jet gulps 26.38 billion naira in 18 months. That's on page 27 for your read. CBT fears surge after decade worst WAEC result. CBT fears surge after decade worst WASC result, and that's on page 3 for your read this morning. 2027 elections, Atiku Obi rejects controversial party registration bill. In case you didn't hear that. 2027 elections, Atiku Obi rejects controversial party registration bill. That's on the front page for your read this morning. And our insurers to recapitalize as Tinubu signs key reform bill. That's on page 29. Policeman 8 civilians killed in fresh Benue attack. That's on page 4 and 5. 300,000 children face hunger as WFP shuts Borno Yobe clinics. And that's on page 45 for your read this morning. And now we find a picture story. Tinubu's wife gives 1.5 billion naira relief to flood hit Niger, Adamawa. And that's on page 43 for your read this morning. Well, that's it for the front page of the Punch newspaper. I'll let you grab a copy to find out more details on what other stories and other developing stories have in store for you. And now let's head on to the leadership. Leadership says all workers want government refineries fixed before sale. I'll take that again. All workers want government refineries fixed before sale. Bengersen advocates NLNG model for privatization of PH, Warri and Kaduna plants. I'll take that again. Bengersen advocates NLNG model for privatization of Port Harcourt, Warri and Kaduna plants. That's also on the front page for your read this morning. And we have "You are not our match." APC governors tell ADC and others. I didn't say that. You are not our match. APC governors tell ADC and others. It's a season of politicking, so I'm not going to be surprised when we keep finding stories like this on the front page. And ADC is now the newest opposition, so it means that we're going to get more fire from them, and it's probably going to be more back and forth. So stick around, there's going to be a lot for you. Alright, that's available for your read on page 4. Rejects Mark-led leadership, 2 ADC state chairmen tell INEC. Rejects Mark-led leadership, 2 ADC state chairmen tell INEC, and that's on page 29. World's best in English skills. I want the world to know Nigerians can win, says Yobe schoolgirl Nafisa. It is so beautiful to find women winning, girls winning. It's amazing. I think it's season for women to keep winning. I am super happy about this one. I'll take that again in case you didn't hear me. It says world best in English skills. I wanted the world to know Nigerians can win, says Yobe schoolgirl Nafisa. That is beautiful. Congratulations, Nafisa, and that's available for you read on page 7. Abuja overtakes Lagos as Nigeria records $5.64 billion capital importation in first quarter, and that's available for your read on page 7. Collapsed building kills mother, 5 children in Katsina. Oh my goodness, this is such a sad story. Not something anybody wants to smile about. Well, that's available for your read on page 7. Insurers to recapitalize as Tinubu signs insurance reform bill into law, and that's on page 25. Baby Assembly suspends 5 lawmakers for concealing reports, and that's on page 6. Revive United Nigeria Textiles, Emir Sanusi tells federal government. Revive United Nigeria Textiles, Emir Sanusi tells federal government, so that's on page 12. Nigerian Anglicans cut ties with Church of Wales over gay Archbishop election. Nigerian Anglican cut ties with Church of Wales over gay Archbishop election, and that's on page 8 for your read. Rotational presidency without restructuring won't work, says Ohaneze, and that's on page 21 for your read this morning. What picture story you find, I'll let you pick a copy to find out what happened with Zenith Bank and what's new what upgrades is available. So you could just pick up a copy of the leadership newspaper to find out what the picture story says. And now let's head on to the Vanguard newspaper for this morning. The Vanguard says 2027 Obi single term pledge raises dust. Obi single term pledge raises dust. A true leader can turn things around in 48 months, says Obi. It's threats to 1999 constitution, says PDP. It smacks a desperation, says Okori. You can take Obi's promise to the bank, says Abaride. One tenor is lofty but insufficient, says Imashun. And it's insult on our collective memory, says Buhari's aide. This is available for your read on page 5. Like I said, it's a season of politicking, so many political stories, so many interesting developments you don't want to miss out on. So just stick around. Well, that's available for your read on page 5 this morning as we head into all the stories on the front page of the Vanguard. Commissioners accuse EEDC of reducing power supply in Enugu. That's on page 19. Keyamo, aviation experts on war path over Lagos airport renovation. That has long been dragged back and forth, and a lot of people think it's misplaced priority. I don't know what you think about it, but if it's a topic of discussion this morning, I would love to really hear your opinion. Well, that's available on page 9. Banks wooed me with pretty ladies for deposits. Sent thugs when my business went down, says Otedola. I'm going to take that again in case you didn't hear it. It says banks wooed me with pretty ladies for deposits and sent thugs when my business went down. So I want to believe that pretty ladies are probably the marketers, and I don't know who the thugs are, but this is available for questioning. Maybe the thugs are the ones who can really get the job done. Pretty ladies probably just want to convince you they are the sweet talkers that get you onboarded, and if you don't stick with the rules of the game, they probably send those who know how to deal with it. Well, that's, you find out on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. As court restrains Governor Bago from shutting Badegi FM. That's on page 27 for your read. Atiku Buni others celebrate Nafisa, 17-year-old world best in English. It is beautiful to know that the world best in English stem from Nigeria, and not just Nigeria, from northern Nigeria. It is amazing. A place where you think that there are lots of marginalizations, and a place where you think that young girls don't ever value education, and you find one person coming out of there as world best in English. It is awesome, especially knowing that this is not a native speaker of English, but coming out as a world best. It is incredible. Congratulations, Nafisa. Your story deserves to be heard far and wide. And now that's available for your read on page 27. I'm sure a lot of parents probably want to pick up that to find out more and use it to encourage their children out there. Well, that's on page 27 for your read. Church of Nigeria formally cut ties with Wales over lesbian Archbishop, and that's on page 8. ABC governors rally round party chair Yowada dismiss opposition as non-existent, and that's on page 8 for your read this morning. Another picture story you find is First Lady of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, and former military president General Ibrahim Babangida retired during the First Lady's visit to his Minna residence on the sidelines of a visit for the 2-in-1 event of donating to victims of various mishaps of Niger State and the flag off of the Arachai Tolu Elumelu Foundation Women Empowerment Program at the Government House in Minna yesterday. Well, that's all we need for the front page of the Vanguard as we head on to see what other papers have in store for us. And I stand to see what the Voice of Liberty says. Voice of Liberty says APC identifies prominent politicians threatening Nigeria's progress. So what are they going to do about that? And the Express says the All Progressives Congress has accused former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, ex-Governor Nasir El-Rufai, and Labour Party's 2023 candidate Peter Obi of posing a serious threat to Nigeria's unity and development, following their involvement in the newly formed opposition coalition under ADC. Impressive. Well, that's on the front page of the Voice of Liberty as we head on to other stories. Tinubu dumped evidence of 100 trillion naira thefts, says Gudaji Kazari, and that's on the front page. Atiku Patami, others celebrate Yoruba team's global English triumph. urge national honor. I urge that as well. I would advise a national honor as well. When the season, after all. We were kidnapped by thief people, not Fulani, says freed victims. And that's on the front page. Another angle to the story. Now, 2027, opposition's governors defecting out of fear, not principle, says PDP chieftain. Now, APC attacking Obi consistently to divert attention from its failures, says CUPP. Now, court bars Niger government from acting against Badegi Radio. Bello Turji releases captives, surrenders arms amid cleric broker truce as public figures demand justice. I'll take that again. Bello Turji releases captives, surrenders arms amid cleric brokered truce as public figures demand justice. Well, that's it on the front page of the Voice of Liberty as we head on to The Guardian to guide us through some truth. And now The Guardian says concerns over new customs levy, weak import as car ownership turns luxury. That's on the front page of The Guardian newspaper for this morning. It says concerns over new customs levy, weak import as car ownership turns luxury. Importers take advantage of additional charge for price gouging, and that's on page 6. Investors raise stake in Nigeria with $5.6 billion capital inflow in first quarter. That's on page 18. ADC leadership crisis deepens as INEC chairman withhold backing. And that's on page 6 for your read this morning. And as other stories, recapitalization looms as Tinubu signs insurance reform bill. That's on page 3. 1.5 million children die of vaccine-preventable diseases yearly. That's on page 30. And Oluyemi Tinubu donates 1 billion naira to Niger flood victims. That's on page 30 for your read as well. And that's it for the front page of the Guardian newspaper as we head on to see what other stories have in store for us. And also the Daily Times this morning. Daily Times says court convicts 21 foreigners for hacking, others deportation. I'll take that again. Court convicts 21 foreigners for hacking, others deportation, and that's on page 2 for your read this morning. And now Tinubu signs insurance reform bill to boost financial sector. That's on page 2. Police arrest 211 suspects in Delta, recover 8.5 million naira ransom and firearms. That's on page 5. NDA disowns fake list of successful 2025 candidates. That's on page 2. Africa requires $3 trillion to achieve climate goals, says AU, and that's on page 12. CDCFIB approves promotion of 30 assistant controllers general, and that's on page 7 for your read this morning. I'll let you pick a copy to find out what the picture story says regarding MSMEs, the heartbeat of Nigeria's economy, because we have lots of prominent figures, but I'll let you pick a copy of the Daily Times to find out more details on that. And now to the blueprint. Blueprint says early campaign. APC governors Swaga Obi unveil strategies amid INEC caution. Uzodinma Ododo Oborewori inspect party data center, dismiss coalition. ADC states chairs urge electoral body to reject mark. I'm committed to one term but not desperate, says Obi, and that's on the front page for your read this morning. $1 trillion economy, Tinubu signs insurance reform bill into law. On clerics intervention, Bello Turji releases 32 captives. On clerics intervention, Bello Turji releases 32 captives, 211 kidnappers ritually nabbed in Edo, 3 tortoises recovered. And that's on the front page. Zenith Bank donates 200 million naira to the Tigress. Congratulations to the Tigress, it's a beautiful one. And Dangote Afrexim orders sign $1.35 billion refinery refinancing deal. Dangote Afrexim orders signed $1.35 billion refinery refinancing deal. Remi Tinubu donates 1 billion naira to victims of Niger disaster. And that's on page 19 for your read this morning. And now over to the Daily Trust. They say it's a newspaper you can trust. Southern candidate, Jonathan or Obi? That's a question. Southern candidate, Jonathan or Obi, which would it be? Or would there be another person in the picture? That's on the front page for your read this morning. Zamfara bandits abducts 150 persons in 4 days. Remi Tinubu donates 4.15 billion naira in 7 months. Cargo clearance costs to rise as customs begins 4% levy collection. And that's on page 3. Mother, 5 children killed in Katsina building collapse. How 3 Yobe teenagers emerged victorious in world competitions, and that's on page 12. Sudan hit by world's worst hunger crisis, says UN. 22 persons killed in Niger auto crash. That's also available for your read on page 5 this morning. Well, now let's head on to see what other papers have in store for us. And now we head on to pick the Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera says Tinubu shuns critics reward the Tigress players with $100 each. Like Super Falcons, Afro basketball champions receive national honors and houses. That's on page 9 for your read. Police neutralize notorious kidnapper in Akwa Ibom, recovers firearms. That's a good one, and that's available for your read on page 7. Ekiti-Guba Oyebanji declares for second term. ADB connects over 28 million to electricity in 10 years, and that's on page 14. NUPRC gazettes 21 regulations since enactment of PIA. That's also available for your read. Now, WAEC withholds 192,000 results over malpractices. Rededicates to call mandates. NSCDC commandants urges personnel. Adeleke denies lavishing state funds on foreign travels. Namadi to boost civil servants' livelihood through agriculture. That's also available for your read on page 6 of the paper this morning. And now let's head on to other papers. We have the Matrix. The Matrix says FG moves against foreign criminals. Court orders deportation of 21 foreign hackers, imposes fines. And that's on page 31. Capital importation rose to $5.6 billion in first quarter 25, says NBS. And Bayelsa, Ebonyi, Gombe, Jigawa, Kebbi, Taraba, Yobe, Zamfara attracted zero investment in 5 years. Banking, financial, oil and gas sectors record top 3 inflows. Abuja overtakes Lagos as top investment destination. How possible is that? That Abuja would overtake the commercial net center of Nigeria? We need to know the statistics of that. Well, now 2027, APC national leadership holds strategic meeting, kickstart political moves. That's on the front page of the Matrix newspaper for your read this morning. And that you would find on page 3. Otedola reveals shocking tactics banks used to woo him. And that's on page 2. And $1 trillion economy quest. Tinubu signs Nigerian insurance industry reform bill. That's on page 3. And now Bello Turji releases 32 hostages, begins disarmament in peace talks. And that's on page 2 for your read this morning. Naira Marley forgave Iyabo Ojo despite advice to press charges, says very dark man. And that's on page 20. Lagos government issues flood alert on parts of Lekki, Ikorodu and Ajegunle. Chan, Eric Choi suffers first defeat as Senegal defeats Nigeria in opener. I'll take that again. Eric Choi suffers first defeat as Senegal defeats Nigeria in opener. And that's on page 22 for your read this morning. Well, that's what we'll leave you for the front page of our national dailies. And it's time now to go on a quick break. We'll return to be joined by a guest for analysis of most of the top stories that made it to the front page. And like I said, it's politicking season. It's a season where you want to stay glued to your screen. So our phone lines will also be open when we return. We'll be right back. Do stay with us. Welcome back, viewers. Yes, on to the press, and we're reaching you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. We've now been joined by our guest, Engineer Toba Owujayi, who will then personalize on most of the top stories we read out to you earlier. And do not forget, this is also the segment where our phone lines are now open for you to call in and let your voice be heard. Good morning, Engineer Toba. It's so good to have you in the studio today.
Good morning. Good to be here. I've missed being here for a while. So
you've been really busy, but I'm glad you made out time today.
Thank you.
All right. So there's this story. I feel like it's politicking season, right? Even though I still think it's way too early, but there's really no early time when it comes to politics, right? Exactly, because 2027 is just like a knock on the door coming soon. Now let's talk about what made it to the front page of the papers, and the first one that caught my attention is from the front page of the Vanguard. It says 2027 Obi single term pledge raises dust. That's part one. There are lots of writers to that story. The next one that comes from Obi saying a true leader can turn things around in 48 months. Would that be the case for Nigeria? That's the first question. The second is PDP says it's a threat to the 1999 constitution. There's been a call for amendment, so you may put that into consideration. And it says it smacks desperation coming from Okorie, who probably I would describe as someone who used to be in his close circle. And then you can take Obi's promise to the bank, coming from Abaribe. And then one tenor is lofty but insufficient, says Imasheun. And Buhari's aide says it's an insult on our collective memory. Looking down at track records of the said candidates. I'd like you to take all of this in one breath.
Wow, that's quite a lot. I would want to believe Obi.
Okay.
You know, I'm not his greatest fan, but I want to believe him. We've seen what Jakande did in Lagos in one term as one of the best records of any governor in Nigeria's history. Well, having said that, Lagos is a smaller place in which you can pull that off. But Nigeria is beyond economics. Nigeria is politics. Nigeria is tribes. Nigeria is religion. All of those factors come to bear. So to pull it off in 4 years is a miracle. That will be a miracle. I don't even see you doing it in 20 years. You see, because of how hard and different and easily divided we are by nature and by our setup, it's very hard to pull off something in this country. You do something in this. Okay, Super Eagles and Tigers were basically Southerners, and the president has given them $100,000 each. There are people who are offended in that, and there's a little girl who now won a spelling competition from the north, from Yobe State, and then everybody is now crying out that, okay, you gave those ones because they are Southerners. This girl who did it, you must give her an award. The president must receive her tomorrow. So we are easily divided. So to fix a state is far easier than to fix this country, because people will come at you from all sides. But like I said, it's possible. Mandela did it. Jakande did it. It's about getting the policies right. Not too much is wrong in Nigeria, in my opinion. Not too much is wrong in Nigeria. If you can understand the politics, if you can understand our differences, and if you have a very Obi is somebody who has been in the business sector. He's one of our largest importers of products, so he understands the line. But you see, there are people also take on him. You are one of the largest retailers in this country, and you are the person still shouting production. Why have you not produced instead of retailed what you bought from abroad? So there's that, and then most people just see it as a desperation. People who gathered around him for the ADC want him to be the vice presidential candidate to Atiku. So now that he's on board there, he's now talking of one term. So all of them are like, hello, we brought you here to be VP for us to join votes, and now you are shouting one term. So it's, I think both their ambitions would destroy that party too early. Atiku can never be vice president to anybody again. So he's a short term. He cannot fit into any other position minus presidency. Obi can still fit into vice presidency. Obi can still fit into SGF of the federation. But Atiku is a short term and he contests every 4 years. So the whole North and Nigeria, and is the most nationally accepted northerner. So he always has the front row seat. So people is like, how long will this be if Obi doesn't follow him now? If they both contest separately and Tinubu emerges again, they are both politically done for forever. Nobody will listen to them no matter what they say.
Did you say both? Why don't you think Obi still has a chance, you know? I feel like he still has everything on his side.
2031, power is going to go to the north. I can bet it with my left foot. Power is going to the north in 2031. There's no drama about it. And power will stay in the north for 8 years. Nigeria has a political swing. It's just that people don't want to respect it. And anytime we block that political swing, that is when we have all these problems that we have. We need to respect that swing. We need to allow it work. Tinubu has done 1 term. He can be removed for another southerner. That's wonderful by me. But 2031, we should have a northerner and let him run his 8 years and then he comes back to south. If I was the southwest, I would already be looking into somebody like Umba, governor of Enugu State, who's doing wonders in my opinion, and is still a bit young. I'll be looking at him for 2039. And you say 2039 looks far, but 2039 will soon come. Tinubu bided his own time. He was governor 1999.
How are we in 2025 and we're already discussing 2029?
If you're a politician, you're in 2029. See, if you want to position for this thing, I'm trying to tell you that Tinubu was governor 1999 at 47 to 2007. He stayed at the back end, never contested in anything, worked with the political swings at every time. When it was time for a northerner, he supported a northerner. He kept it that way. And when it now had a swing to the south, he jumped out for it. So you have to respect these swings. Power will go to the north, and just that one is 100% sure. Power will go to the north in 2039, 2031, and power will come back to the south. And if you support power going to the north in 2031, power will come back and favor you. This is just political swing. You can't beat it. You are never bigger than the game you are playing.
So what do you think Buhari's aide meant by saying it's an insult on our collective memory to say that Obi says it's going to do just 1 term?
Yeah, you see, Obi has said many things that have not panned out. There's a video now trending where he said, let him die the day he leaves Abga. You see, and that's why politicians must be careful with their words. I will be in this Abga forever, and let me die the day I leave. Hello, you don't know anything about the future. So you've left Abga and gone to PDP, you've left PDP, you've gone to Labour Party, you are now planning to leave Labour Party on the fence to go to ADC. Don't make categorical statements about the future that you're not sure about. So this is what they are saying. And of course, we've had many people also say they will do 1 term. And we've not seen them do 1 term at the end of the day. There are people who have even gone to shrine to swear it. And they are still alive. So
they say power corrupts, don't you think?
Yes. And you see, once you get to the seat, you start seeing other things you could do and other things you can do. Even if you've performed well, you see other things you can do. If you offer Goodluck a presidential ticket today, he will take it. I'm sorry to say, if you offer IBB a presidential ticket guaranteed, IBB will come back on board.
You know, there's this headline on the front page of Daily Trust because you mentioned Goodluck. Someone says Jonathan or Obi for Southern candidates.
Now, let me tell you what plays to favor Goodluck.
Okay.
He's constitutionally binded that he cannot do more than 1 term. Now, Obi has no constitution blocking him from doing 2 terms. So, who would you trust more? The person who cannot do more than 1 term, even if he does his best to try, or the person telling you that I swear I will do only 1 term? so that's part of, and then Goodluck is loved in the north. You see, the fact that he was beaten in the election and he handed over and was not interested in fighting, he has been received well in the north many times that he has been there. He has traveled, he has gone elections around the world. He's not pushy. that's another thing about politics.
You know, I literally think he's a statesman now, and will probably not want to dive into politics for any reason anymore.
Yes, because he's not somebody who keenly wants. He doesn't have that desperation for power. Of course, we saw his wife come up months ago and say, "Who are those pushing her husband to contest?" She's okay with the life she's living now. Let her rest where she is. But you see, that narrative that there's one southern tenor left in the narrative, and that's 4 years, and there is an Obi who's doing very well, but is promising to serve just for 1 year, for 4 years, and there's a Goodluck who has been there, knows the office, knows what he did right and what he did wrong, and is a southerner and is constitutionally binded and cannot do more than 4 years, and is loved in the north and loved in the south and loved by people. So it's not completely out, but I still don't see anybody beating Tinubu. I'm sorry to say.
Well, maybe people feel different about that, because some persons have been claiming that there's been some sort of marginalization, and the northern leaders are angry at Tinubu. Have you heard that?
Yeah, we are used to that. Every time a southern president has done his first term, then the north is not okay with the economy. It happened to Goodluck. It happened to Obasanjo. Once a southerner is in his first term, the country is dying. The country is. We have to form a coalition and send the person out. That's nothing new. We saw MKO, a southerner, win an election and it was annulled. So I can borrow from what that guy said. We have our brains and our memories. We should use them. The North wants power now. The North, and the big people in the North who have said, Northerners, let's wait. This is this lack of following the political swing that brought about Boko Haram. It is this thing that leads to our politics being heated up 3 years to an election. I mean, this thing has been heated up for 3 years to an election. What time will the person have to govern? So governance is taking a back seat and politicking is drinking us all dry. So, in my opinion, a southerner will still remain president. Either Tinubu will remain, or Goodluck, or Obi will make it. But I see the North taking sides to support that, and then taking their own full 8 years from 2031 to 2039, and then it will come back again to the South. So the Southerners, like the Southeast, who deserve it the most for balance sake, should start planning who will be in prime position by 2039, who can be around 60 years old by 2039, maybe has been a governor, has walked through the ranks, and has been primed for this position. You need to plan long term. This is not a short term. It's not a sprint at all.
If you say plan for somebody in their 60s, do you think that is really applicable in this country? That people begin to look at age before they get to vote you into power? Because we know, so far so good, most of our presidents have been nothing short of 70. Okay,
so if you look back to 1999, Tinubu was 47, Mekadfi was 42, Kwame Kwesi was 42. We had 55% of the governors less than the age of 50. But we just had a time in which we slacked and we let the age begin to pile up on us. But the youths are waking up, and they're waking up fast. And if the youths wake up and say, okay, we don't want anybody above 50 or 60, it would lead to a paradigm shift. You see, everybody listens. Politicians are not dumb. They listen. But they listen to how much you are crying about something. And so far, nobody is really crying about age. When it comes to people crying about age, the politicians and political parties will listen. Take it to the bank.
I would say, well, the good thing is this is on record. So we remember that you said that.
Yes, I remember you said.
All right. So there's this statement on the front page of Voice of Liberty. It says APC identifies prominent politicians strengthening Nigeria's progress. And part of those prominent politicians that they have identified is former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, former Governor of Kaduna State, El-Rufai, Malam El-Rufai, and then Labour Party's 2023 presidential candidate, Obi. The question is, how true is the statement? And you also said something about Atiku being the most nationally accepted candidate.
Of course.
If he is, then what has been shooting him in the leg for so long that even after 30 years of, consistent trials, he's still not been able to clinch that seat of power?
Desperation and not following political swing. I've said it, and I'll say it again. He was made governor after he had even tried in 1993. He didn't get him to become candidate. Kingibe beat him to become MKO's vice. 1999, he now went for governor of Adamawa State. He won his election. He didn't serve as governor for one single day, and he was made vice president. And in 6 months down the line, the president said, while I traveled, my VP allegedly changed the Senate president. Already in a bid to take over from the president in less than 1 year of being brought from being a governor to becoming a vice president, and was given a free hand to run the economy. And he did a fairly good job, in my opinion. You see, I don't want to be biased against him. He did a very good job, in my opinion, of running the economy. But it took the then president to ambush him by kneeling down for him publicly in the Arewa conference in Kaduna and begging for him to allow him run. So it was a trap for him. Can I tell the president kneeling down for me, who is older than me, that I won't accept this in the presence of all these elders? So he accepted it, and that was the trap. Immediately that happened, in the next tenure, the president sidelined him. He had to leave the power, try to impeach him, and since then he has been contesting. Like I said, he doesn't obey the political swing. He contests every 4 years. You see, if you always tell us it is your turn, then you're making all of us look like fools. So none of us in the political space has a turn. But every 4 years it has to be you. And if it's not you, you jump to another party. And then you jump there and it doesn't work, then you come back and then ask us again that you are the founding father of the place that you left. Then we bring you back and then we give you again. Then you don't get it, you jump again. These are the mistakes Atiku. If Atiku had stayed faithful to Obasanjo, Atiku would have been president since 2007. He will have concluded his tenure successfully in 2015 and arrested. Sometimes political, and that is why Obi should also take a cue.
Now, I'm trying to understand this political swing story,
Yes.
because first of all, if you're talking about political swing, that's power shifting from here to here,
Yes.
from north to south.
Yes.
But there were times when he also contested when power was supposed to be shifted to the north. So why do you think he was still not elected?
Okay, let me pick 2015. He was just moving from PDP to APC. So he went to the APC primaries and couldn't win there because it was a money game. He had expected to be able to pull that off. But Kwankwaso was also contesting. Kwankwaso is another thorn in his neck because Kwankwaso has never backed down for Atiku ever. 2023, they begged Kwankwaso till the last day. The man said, I'm contesting and I have my Kano, and he won his Kano and divided votes again. So it's not the first time. These are the issues he needs to look at. 2019, people fully supported him against Buhari in the south. He won in the south, but it was against a sitting president that was loved in the north. So the same northerners betrayed him in 2019. So you need to understand. And he got his large parts of his votes from the south. But Buhari won in the north because Buhari is believed in the north, whether he does well or not. You saw how in his passing days and his burial, he still had large support in the north. If Buhari wakes up today and says you should vote somebody in the next election, if you can get that recording, even if he's dead now, you have a recording in which he says so person should be voted 2027. That person has 25% of the north already.
You know, it's just so unfortunate that what we see now and what we get to experience now can be really it's a pathetic situation, because most people feel like 2027 is going to be a game changer, while other people feel like we already know what's going to happen in 2027. And now, what do you think that Muhammadu Buhari's passing, what kind of harm do you think it would do to President Tinubu's re-election, if possible, in 2027?
I really don't even see so much that Buhari had before he passed on. I'm not seeing his body language for him or against him.
Okay.
Because we saw El-Rufai go to visit Buhari. We saw most of the people go to visit him, even quote him in on press.
Yes.
Yeah, so everybody was trying, and then Buhari kept silent because even Buhari was not willing to, wanted to stay away from it. Tinubu, do your best. You guys also do your best. I'm not interested in what's happening here. So his body language was about neutral. The North will make a good play for this if they can get Obi on their side as a VP. Most likely they can beat Tinubu. If they go for good luck and then get him Tambuwal or maybe Kwankwaso, they can beat Tinubu. Personally, if you pick El-Rufai as your VP, people like me will ensure that doesn't come to pass. So that's for some of us. But there are people who love him too. It's just policies and choices. So these are the issues that come on board. Both parties need to look deep into it. Look at the Edo election. Edo Central had not produced governors since 1999. So last year, all the big parties, PDP and APC, had to pick their candidates from there. Now, Labour Party refused to understand that swing, and they now picked their candidate from the same place that Obasaki was from, and he lost woefully. Not because the people don't love Labour Party, but you need to understand and respect political swing. APC followed it, PDP followed it, so they were the front two by a large margin. You need to respect political swing. You need to pick candidates that people like and people believe have that tendency and affection and have served in the past to support their cause.
Well, all we see here is sometimes picking a political candidate or appointing somebody into office, electing someone into office looks like blind dating. You don't really know what you're doing.
It's always blind dating, always.
All right, so let's look at this story. So Tinubu shuns critics, rewards the Tigers players with $100,000 each. Houses as well as, national honors. What do you make of that? Do you think it shouldn't have gone that route, or do you think it's okay to do to encourage them as well, for consistent wins? Because this is something that they've kept on for the past 5 years, just the same way as the Super Falcons have kept, held on to their position for the last decade. So do you think it's a bad thing to want to go the same route as the way he did with the Super Falcons? Because people are beginning to hit on that, like, why would you do that? There are lots of other things to prioritize in the country. Okay,
so let's assume that he gave the Falcons that, and then he now comes to the Tigers, who have won for 5 consecutive years, and he does less. What has he said about sports? What he will have said by that is that football is far better and more important than basketball.
Absolutely.
Yes, so he's good. And if you watch the matches, they were keenly contested. Those girls were almost beaten from quarter-final to semi-final and final. I watched the matches. Those girls were resilient to hold that ticket and win it for the 5th time. I am not 100% sure we'll win it for the 6th time, but those girls fought hard because there was stiff competition. People don't want those matches. They just hear you won for the 5th time, like as if it's easy.
Like it's a joke.
It's not a joke.
It's not those countries and then being there and retaining that
seat. So Falcons also played against the defending champions and host nation.
Impressive.
So it's not easy to beat. Those same people beat us 2022 in the semi-final and knocked us out. We met them in their own home with the trophy in their own hands. They
took it away.
We need the president. I don't see that all of them should have gotten the honors. In my opinion, if I was president, I'll give the honor OON. I'll give it to the captain.
But what would that now say? That some persons are better than the others? Nah.
No. I'm giving to a position. I'm not giving to an individual. I'm not giving to the best player.
Okay.
I would give, if I was the president, I would give to the head coach and the captain of the team.
But what would it cost you to give national honors to every single person?
You see, if we now give national honors to every Nigerian, then what
part in something so
I'm coming.
remarkable?
You see, how does it become special if we now have, look at the list of people with OON. Before we could pick really high potential people you could mention their name and you don't need to ask, sorry, what did they do or who are they? If we continue on this path of giving every single team an OON, very soon I will soon have one. I don't know for what reason I will have it. It has to still be special. I had a talk with someone and he was giving a point, 7 points he was making. He said this point is very, very important. He came to the next point and this point is very, very important. The next point, at the end of the day, all 7 points were very, very important. You can't tell us all 7 points were very important to strike a meaning. So he has to make the OON still look special by making it special in who he hands it over to. The captain and the coach was good enough, in my opinion.
All right, but if you ask me, I don't think it will cost a thing to actually make every one of them receive that national honor, if you ask me, because they've done something remarkable. And people say that if women can do this great, then maybe women should be given a chance in politics. What's your take on that?
I've not seen where women have been stopped in politics before.
No. We know that we don't even have the 35% affirmation yet.
What is 35% affirmation? I want to understand what that means.
We have to have like 35% of every of the seat of power.
No, we don't have to have. Because constitutionally, you see, people, you can wish for it, you can work for it, but an election is about votes. You have to win party primaries. You cannot be giving tickets in party primaries based on your gender. This is what people miss out in the whole story. You cannot be giving party tickets. Okay, which state is going to give you the 35%? Okay, we now say, okay, Lagos State must have 3 women, or 1 out of the 3 must be senators. You have already infringed on the constitution. So there's no, I believe women have equal opportunity. It's once you start petting this thing and saying,
but in reality, no, you believe, but that's like idealism compared to realism, right? Have you seen what happens during elections? Do you see women really get the chance? A lot of factors are against women.
I agree. And I'm not saying that there are no factors against women, but know that at the polling
are the things I am talking about when it comes to make it easy, make it a fair playground.
It is a very fair playground. Have you not seen the way Natasha is dragging the whole Senate? You think if it was a man, they would leave you to do that? If it was a man, he would do that. It's a woman.
That's where that's leading to.
And that's what I'm saying. And some people believe she's even helping female chances. In my opinion, she's denting it. Because it's long we've seen somebody drag the Senate over a sitting position that has dragged this long, and because it's a woman and it's sentimental and there's a lot of drama to it, like as if it's big brother watching, a simple rule being flaunted. You cannot, they change your seat when you want to make a complaint. Is in the Senate rule. Go to the seat upon which you have been allotted and make your complaint from there. That's a simple rule. But you see, beauty and clout and all of massive support can make all of this blood, and then we don't know what we're talking about. I believe she's even denting chances. People are there, take your position, you're a wonderful woman. In my opinion, she's the most performing senator to her constituency. Cause this drama, go back to Senate, go and serve your people, win your re-election, and be good. This is how to encourage more women into it. Not this drama every day. You go to UN, you complain, in UN, you come back, you demonstrate. Hello.
Okay. Before we go, I'd like to ask you this question that has caused some sort of, should I call it some sort of, there's a fire around that conversation. Okay. So there's this Lagos airport revitalization. What do you make of that renovation. Do you think it's a waste of time? Do you think it's misplaced priority as against what the government should be doing right now? What do you make of it? Do you see it as a chance to, grow the economy in some sort of way, or just a misplaced priority?
Okay, it's a very tough one, because it will grow the economy. Lagos has always been our busiest flight airport. To make it bigger, to make it more standard, is a good thing for Nigeria internationally, to bring more businesses to Nigeria. But I understand how the whole entire Southeast is getting 150 billion in that same take, and then one state is getting 710 billion for one project. I understand how the optics of that falls out. I expect the president to come back on board, review the cost, ask them, review the costs, bring in more contractors to bid for it. This is the fairness we're asking for. Let more people bid for it. We will now know what is the true cost of that project. Let the architectural design be done. Let them have the quantities of survey of that thing. Let's have the analysts, activists, and everybody, and even opposition, look into it. If by merit we see that 400 billion can do it, then let 400 billion do it. It looks high.
It's about the money, right?
For me, it's about the money. There's nothing else here.
Okay, they said the money is going to be gotten from subsidy removal gains. But people are so keen on, is that the next thing right now? How many people fly?
Many people fly. And the bigger...
middle class, right?
The bigger you are able to draw in resources into your country, the better for you. So if we have bigger airports, we have bigger ports. Umba is my best governor, and he has put in an airport in their place, and has put in their own airline.
It's a Maiduguri.
No, Maiduguri is gone a long time ago. He has gone silent. We don't know what's happening to him.
Okay.
Maybe politics is happening to him. Once you have a VP in your place, you are careful of your moves. You don't want to look like you are vying for the position. In the north, you are more careful to not be seen as desperate. But for me, we need to have an audit into that cost. It's only the cost that's my issue here. Lagos should be able to cough out some part of it from their own budget. The federal is supposed to also do some part of it, but just bulking all of that on the nation is quite high.
All right.
For the price,
well, it's a good place to leave you this morning. Thank you so much, Engineer Toba Awojaye. We really appreciate you for your time today on the show.
Thank you very much.
All right, viewers, thank you so much for being a part of the show today, and I'll see you again tomorrow. I am Olamide Alhassan, and that's bye for now.